Good evening and welcome to the Christmas Carol Radio Show, brought to you by some lovely content creators at TikTok. If everyone could label their ad, please. Starting with our lovely narrator,
Darkman of the Gone. Hello.
and to good Mr. Cratchit.
I am the Raven King, at the Raven King.
All right. Also, over to good old Fred.
Riddle me this, 93.
And we will also cut to the Spirit of Christmas Past, played by...
Hail Bob at Maho no Aho.
And to our Belle and Tiny Tim.
Dragon Pony 1 at Dragon Pony 92.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Charles Dickens' classic, A Christmas Carol.
Marley was dead, to begin with. There's no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Mind, I don't mean to say that I know, of my own knowledge, what there is particularly dead about a doornail. However, there is no doubt that Marley was dead. This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can become of the story that we are going to tell you. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood, years afterwards, above the warehouse door, Scrooge and Marley. He was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, old sinner, hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire, secret and self-contained, and solitary as an oyster. It was Christmas Eve, and old Scrooge sat busy in his counting-house, accompanied only by his clerk, Bob Cratchit.
7 years ago today.
What was that you say?
7 years ago today. Mr. Marley died 7 years ago this very day.
Is it too much that for me to ask you to return to your work, for which I pay you so handsomely? Mr. Cratchit, what are you doing with that coal scuttle?
The fire has gone cold, Mr. Scrooge.
Come over here, Cratchit. What is this?
A shirt?
And this?
A waistcoat?
This?
A coat?
These are garments, Mr. Cratchit. Garments were invented by the human race to keep us warm once purchased. They can be used over and over again for the purpose they are intended. Coal burns. Coal is costly and coal is momentary. There will be no more coal burned in this office today. Is that understood, sir? Now, please get back to the work, for I am forced to conclude that your services are no longer required.
Right away, sir.
The counting-house was grey and dull, which matched the cold air. Bob often did best to warm his fingers by with the candle lighting his desk. Suddenly, the door opened, and a young man entered with a merry humor.
Merry Christmas, Bob Cratchit.
And the same to you, Mr. Fred.
Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Scrooge bitterly ignored his young nephew.
I said, Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Humbug.
Christmas a humbug, Uncle. Surely you don't mean that.
I do. What's Christmas but a time for buying things which have no need, no money? Time for finding yourself a year older, not an hour richer. If I could work my will, every idiot that goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled in his own pitting and buried with a stake of holly through his heart.
Uncle.
Nephew, keep Christmas in your own way, and let me keep it in mine.
Keep it, but you don't keep it at all.
Let me leave it alone, then. Much good as it has done you, a lot of good it will do you.
Well, there are many things from which I have benefited, even if they didn't show profit, I dare say. Christmas among the rest. But if anything belonging to Christmas can be considered apart from the sacred source of its name and origin, I'm sure I have always thought of Christmas as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time of year I know when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely and think of others as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave. And therefore, uncle, though it has never put a scrap of silver or gold in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good, and will do me good, and I say, God bless it.
Cratchit, another sound out of you, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your position.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
You're quite the powerful speaker, sir. It's a wonder you don't go into Parliament.
Don't be angry, uncle. Come and dine with us tomorrow.
Die. With you. I'll see myself condemned first.
It would be a great joy to me and my wife.
Yes, your wife. And told she brought very little to the marriage. A poor girl, I understand.
I love her, and she loves me.
Love. Good afternoon, nephew.
I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why can't we be friends?
You are wasting my time.
I'm sorry to find you so resolute. We've never had a quarrel as far as I know. Nevertheless, I shall keep my good cheer and wish you a Merry Christmas.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year! How is that fine family of yours, Bob Cratchit?
Well, sir, all very well.
You will give them my best wishes.
I shall, sir. And thank you for remembering them.
And a Merry Christmas.
As soon as Fred left, two jolly gentlemen entered and approached Scrooge's desk. He barely acknowledged their presence.
Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley has been dead for 7 years now.
Mr. Scrooge, I presume.
Indeed you do, sir.
You do not know us.
Nor do I wish to.
My name is Mr. Jeeves, and this is my associate, Mr. Howell.
Very well. Now, why do you find it necessary to interrupt my work?
Well, at this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable that we, which with means, should make some slight provision for the poor and needy who suffer greatly at this time of year.
Provision. You're seeking money, then.
Many thousands are in want of basic needs. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comforts.
Are there no prisons?
Oh, there are still plenty of prisons.
And workhouses for the poor are still in operation?
They are. I wish I could say they were not.
The Treadmill, the poorhouse is still in full vigor?
All very busy, sir.
Ah, well, I was afraid from what you had said, something had stopped them in full force.
A few of us are trying to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink, and some means of warmth. What shall I put you down for?
Nothing.
Ah, you wish to be anonymous, then?
I wish to be left alone. Since you asked me what I wish, that is my answer, gentlemen. I don't make merry myself at Christmas, and I cannot afford to make idle people merry. I'm taxed for the institutions that I have mentioned, and they cost enough. Those who are badly off must go there.
But many can't go there, and many would rather die.
Oh, well, if they'd rather die, perhaps they'd better do it and decrease the surplus population. Now, I have my work to you two gentlemen. Good afternoon.
What? Good afternoon.
The solicitors, appalled by such a display of apathy, left. Soon, Scrooge checked his pocket watch to chagrin.
I suppose it's that time, Mr. Cratchit. You'll be wanting all day tomorrow, I suppose.
If it is quite convenient, sir.
Oh, it's not convenient, sir. It's not fair. Oh, half a crown for it. You think yourself ill-used. Hmm? I'll be bound you don't think me ill-used when I pay a day's wages for no work.
It's only once a year, sir.
Poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose you must have it. I'll be here all the earlier the next morning.
Oh, yes, sir. I shall.
See that you are.
Certainly, sir. And Merry Christmas, Mr. Scrooge.
Humbug!
Scrooge walked with a hunch and a half frozen gait, as if he were counting the steps to ensure he didn't spend too much energy doing so. He was a harbored creature of habit. He ate at the same pub, ordered the same meal, paying no more than the labeled price.
More bread here.
It'll cost you an extra shilling, Governor.
Forget it then. I'll retire to bed.
As Scrooge exited the pub, a thin young man approached him.
Mr. Buckworthy, I made myself quite clear. You will pay by tomorrow.
But Mr. Scrooge, I beg of you, all I need is another few weeks and I'll be able to pay the loan. It's Christmas Eve and I've barely enough to feed my family and
you'll make sure you pay in full, or your family will weep in the union workhouses as you serve your time in debtor's prison. Now be on your way.
Leaving the young man defeated, Scrooge left to his home. Now, it is a fact that there was nothing at all particular about the knocker on the door, except that it was very large. It is also a fact that Scrooge had seen it night and morning during his whole residence. Let it also be borne in mind that Scrooge had not bestowed one thought on Marley since his last mention of his 7 years dead partner that afternoon. And then let any man explain to me, if he can, how it happened that Scrooge, having his key in the lock of the door, saw in the knocker not a knocker, but Marley's face.
Scrooge.
Jacob Marley. No, it must be me stomach here. Something I hate. Yes, humbug.
To say that he was not startled, or that his blood was not conscious of a terrible sensation to which it had been a stranger from infancy, would be untrue. Up Scrooge went, not caring a button for that. But before he shut his heavy door, he walked through his rooms to see that all was right. Quite satisfied, he closed his door, and he locked himself in. He dressed down to his nightgown and robe as he sat by the smoldering fireplace, taking a bowl of gruel.
Just the thing to settle an upset stomach.
Out in the darkness, a noise began to chime, the faint rattling of chains.
Scrooge.
No, it can't be. Those doors are double locked.
At one, the doors swung open, and the figure of a dead man, bound in chains filled by lock boxes, his skin pale and leathery, peeling from prolonged decomposition, his clothes tattered in the same way, his mouth held closed by a cloth tied about his jaw, and his entire form seemed to be transparent.
What do you want with me?
The fettered spectre raised its hand and untied the cloth holding its jaw. With this, it dropped open.
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
You're particular for a ghost, huh? Who were you then?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Can you sit down?
I can.
Do it then.
Marley's ghost lurched its form over to the chair that sat across from Scrooge and collapsed in it. On closer inspection, his eyes were glossed and his cheeks sunken well in.
You don't believe in me?
I don't.
What evidence would you have of my reality beyond that of your own senses?
I don't know.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Because the little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach. You might be a bit of that beef, a blot of mustard, a fragment of an underdone potato. There's more of gravy than grave about you, whatever you are. Humbug. I tell you, you're humbug. It's all. Mercy. Dreadful apparition. Why do you trouble me?
Man of the worldly mind, do you believe in me or not?
I do. I must. Why do spirits walk the earth? Why do you come to me?
It is required of every man that his spirit should walk abroad among his fellow man, and travel far and wide. And if that spirit goes not forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death. It is doomed to wander through the world and witness what it cannot share, but might have shared, and turn to happiness.
You are chained. Tell me why.
I wear the chain I forged in life. I made it link by link and yard by yard. Is it pattern strange to you? Or would you know the weight and length of the strong coil you bear yourself? It was as full and heavy and as long as this 7 Christmas Eves ago. You have labored on it since. It is a ponderous chain.
I see no chain.
Mine were invisible too, until the day of my death, as yours shall be.
Jacob, your old friend, tell me more, please. Speak comfort to me.
I have none to give. My spirit never walked beyond our counting house. Heed me. In life, my spirit never roved beyond the narrow limits of our money-changing hole.
You were always a very good man of business.
Business! Mankind was my business. The common welfare was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. The dealings of my trade were but a drop of water in the comprehensive ocean of my business. Why did I walk amongst the crowds of my fellow beings with my eyes turned down and never raise them to that blessed star that led the wise men to a poor abode?
I'm sorry for you, Jacob. Is there anything I can do for you?
For me? Nay, it is too late. But I have come for your sake, Ebenezer, to offer a chance of hope to escape my fate.
Have you? Well, you were always a very good friend, Jacob.
Tonight, Ebenezer, you will be haunted by 3 spirits.
3 spirits. Is that the chance of hope you mentioned?
It is.
Well, in that case, I'd rather not.
Without their visit, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first when the bell tolls one.
Couldn't they all come the same time, Jacob, and have it over with?
Expect the second on the stroke of two. The third, more mercurial, shall appear in its own good time. Look to me no more. Look that you may remember what has passed between us.
As Marley's ghost rose, it lurched to the window as it opened on its own, and drifted out the window into the night, where it was accompanied by a multitude of chained spectres, wailing in remorse, seeking to comfort mother and child left out in the cold, but they had lost the power to intercede with the good in human affairs. Horrified by the sight, Scrooge swung the window closed and regained his thoughts.
Hamburgers. Something I ate.
Scrooge went off to bed and thought and thought and thought it over and over and over, and could make nothing of it. The more he thought, the more perplexed he was, and the more he endeavored not to think, the more he thought.
One. What was it Marley said? Nothing. It's just a dream.
Scrooge.
Before Scrooge appeared a striking figure of a child with bright flowing hair and a white robe and a silver sash. Their expression was bright, full of life and hope. They held a candle cap in one hand, and a light accompanied its head, shining quite brightly.
Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold to me?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the spirit of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past.
Perhaps you could cover that light with that cap that accompanies you.
Would you so soon put out the light I give? Yours are the dark passions that would extinguish the light of truth.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I had no intention of offending. What business brings you here?
It is for your welfare that I appear.
Well, I can think of no greater welfare than a night of uninterrupted sleep.
Be careful, Ebenezer Scrooge. I speak of your reclamation. Take heed. Rise and come with me.
The spirit raised its hand to the window, which opened.
But spirit, I cannot accompany you up the window. I am mortal and likely to fall.
Take my hand, and you will be upheld in more than this.
As Scrooge took the hand, he and the spirit were swept up through the air into the sky. They moved with increasing speed, and Scrooge watched in amazement as the world below began to roll back by weeks, months, years, and decades. Soon they came to a land at a small countryside along a narrow path.
Take heed, Ebenezer. I shall be invisible and silent as the grave, and so will you.
The air is so clean, so different than the city.
Do you know where you are?
Good heavens. I was bred in this place. I was a boy here.
Do you remember the way, Ebenezer?
Remember it. I could walk it blindfolded.
The pair went up the path and soon were passed by a group of young children.
Why, it's Dave Masterson and Robert Estes. Hello, David. Look here. It's Ebenezer.
These are merely shadows of the things that have been. They are not aware of us.
At the end of the path, there stood stood a small brick schoolhouse.
Oh, look, it's your school.
I remember it.
And it's Christmas Day.
There's a boy in there, neglected.
Deserted by his family? What could he have done to deserve this?
His mother is dead, and his father holds him a grudge.
Why does his father hold him a grudge?
She died in childbirth. His birth, and with it her family's financial assistance.
A shame. As if he was to blame her for her death. Weep if the tears will come.
Oh, he has his friends, his beloved books, and the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur, Ali Baba, dear old honest Ali Baba.
But not a real child to talk to. Not a living person.
Robinson Crusoe, not real. And Pride Hay and the parrot with the green body and yellow tail, not real. He may do, this boy.
Let us see another Christmas Day when you were a youth.
With a wave of the spirit's hand, the lonely boy became a slender young man, and the doors to the schoolhouse opened to a voice from a young woman to which perked his ears in elation.
Ebenezer!
Fan!
Dear brother!
Oh, Fan, dear Fan!
I've come to bring you home, dear brother.
Home, little Fan.
Yes, home for good and all. Father is much kinder than he used to be. He was in a pleasant mood just the other night, so that I was not afraid to ask him once more if you might come home. And he said yes, you should, and he sent me to bring you. Ebenezer, Father has arranged an apprenticeship for you. You're to be a man and begin your career. You'll never have to spend another moment in this dreadful school. But first we'll be together from all Christmas long and have the merriest time. Your sister was a frail creature and often ill, but she had a big heart, didn't she?
So she had. You're right about that, Spirit. I'll not contradict it.
Come, Ebenezer, pack your things. The carriage is just outside.
Are you sure Father is ready to have me home?
Oh, yes, I'm sure of it.
Where am I to be apprenticed?
You will work for a wonderful man, Mr. Fezziwig, who keeps a warehouse. Now come, we mustn't keep the carriage waiting. Your sister died a young woman.
Yes. Too young.
Old enough to bear a child.
Yes. A son, my nephew, Fred Hollywood.
Your nephew has a strong resemblance of your sister, wouldn't you say?
Really? I hadn't noticed.
I'm starting to think you've walked through life with your eyes shut. Come along, Ebenezer. It is time to see another Christmas.
Again, the two as whisked away as the schoolhouse transformed into a warehouse filled with cloth and workers at desks aloft the tables. At the back was a desk where a portly gentleman sits writing the last notes of the day.
Do you know this place?
Know it? Was I not apprenticed here? Oh, look, it's old Fezziwig, bless his heart. Fezziwig alive again. Oh, there's Dick Wilkins. Oh, we were the best of friends. Oh.
Yo ho there, Ebenezer, Dick, no more work tonight. My boys, it's Christmas Eve. Clear all that nonsense away. All of you, we need room. I say it's time for the party. And we'll enjoy yourself tonight, Ebenezer. That's in order.
Yes, sir, I will try.
You will put your heart into it. You put enough of yourself into your work, and I have nothing but praise for the way you have discharged your duties. But you're young. There is more to life than musty old ledgers and books.
The great accompaniments clear the warehouse floor of tables and chairs, and upon them are placed cold roast, cold boil, and delicacies to enchant the senses of any who stood near them. And from the door came a young woman, to whom both the elder Scrooge and young gave their full attention.
Belle. Oh, I'd forgotten how beautiful she was. Hello, Belle.
Why, hello.
Would you like to dance?
Why? Why, yes. Yes, I would.
Soon a fiddler made his talents known, and the crowd began to break into a dance. Though not at all skilled in such, young Scrooge held the hand of his intended, and smiled in her company.
How long since you danced, Ebenezer?
Waste of time dancing.
You didn't think so then.
Hmm. There was a reason then.
Suddenly, Mr. and Mrs. Fezziwig took to the dance floor, and though being advanced in age, and rather portly in gait, danced in a way that caused the years to melt away, and the onlookers laughed and cheered in joy.
Old Fezziwig, a silly man.
Silly. Why silly?
What did he do, after all, to deserve the praises of those apprentices? Spend a few pounds? Dance like a monkey? Beam a great smile?
It isn't that, Spirit. Why, Mr. Fezziwig had the power to make us happy or unhappy. He can make our work pleasant or miserable, just in the way he looked at us, and all the way he's addressed us. 1,000 such little things add up, you know, until the happiness he gave us was great as if it cost a fortune.
Come, Ebenezer, my time grows short.
The bright and happy scene soon became darker to that of a small bedroom, where Fran is seen bedridden, quite weak, and surrounded by a doctor and her husband, and young Scrooge at her side.
No, no, Spirit, not this. Take me away from here.
This is where it all happens, where your heart truly began to change. Ebenezer, there's my brother.
Fan. Oh, Fan, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, dear brother, is it really you? I can hardly see.
I'm right here, Fan. I'm holding your hand. You don't worry. You're going to get well again. You mustn't, Fan, die. You mustn't die, Fan. You can't die.
Ebenezer.
Fan. Fan.
Fan's breath seems to fade away as young Scrooge looks about the company. The cry of a newborn child is heard in another room, and in the heart of the young Scrooge a seed of resentment started to grow. With this he rose and stormed out of the room.
There. Are you satisfied? Have you no compassion at all? What purpose have you to bring me to such a place?
Ebenezer, take care of him. Please take care of my boy. There is the purpose, Ebenezer. Do you now understand?
Yes. Oh, please. Forgive me, Fan. Forgive me, Fan. Please forgive me.
And then on, your heart really began to change. And with it, so did your perception of the world around you, and those who you cared for.
From the room the pair came to a park bench along the river, when Belle, young Scrooge's fiancée, sits alone, and from down the path,
Hello, Belle. Sorry I'm late.
Thought you might not come. I know how busy you are.
Well, the time of year and the nature of my business. It's important to use my time wisely for opportunities.
Or rather, another idol has replaced me.
What idol has displaced you?
A golden one, Ebenezer.
Now, there's a double standard for you. All the world speaks so vehemently against poverty, and yet condemns the pursuit of wealth just as harshly.
You fear the world too much, Ebenezer. I've seen your nobler virtues fall away one by one until nothing is left but one master passion. The pursuit of profit consumes you, Ebenezer.
Perhaps I have grown wiser, but I have not changed my feelings towards you.
Oh, Ebenezer, our promise to one another is an old one. We made it when we were young and poor and happy to remain so until we could improve our fortune together by patience and hard work. But you've changed. You are not the same man. Tell me, Ebenezer, if all of this had not happened, would you seek me out and try to win me now? A poor, dowerless girl with nothing but myself to bring to a marriage.
You think I would not then?
Oh, Ebenezer, what a safe and terrible answer. You may feel sad now, Ebenezer, but I've no doubt that you will dismiss the thought of me very soon as another transaction of yours, one that you would never profit by. Ebenezer, I release you. You are a free man. May you be happy in the life you have chosen.
Belle rose from the bench and walked off, leaving the young Scrooge sitting deep in thought.
I almost went after her.
Almost carries no weight, especially in matters of the heart. And you did have a heart. Why didn't you go after her?
Upon his death, my father left me a small inheritance. Belle wished to be married, insisting that we could get by on very little. But I wanted something more for the both of us. So I laid the foundation for financial success, which I have achieved, I might add.
Congratulations. Look at all you've gained.
Oh, why do you delight in torturing me? Show me no more, conduct me home. I've had enough of your pictures from the past.
These are shadows of things that have been. They are your doing. Do not blame me.
Enraged, Scrooge takes the cap from the spirit's hand and raises it high, bringing it down upon its head. As he pushes down, the ambient glow begins to be distinguished, and the spirit starts to disappear from sight.
Haunt me no longer!
With the final thrust, Scrooge finds himself back in his bed, holding a pillow down in the mattress. He looked about and then breathed a short sigh of relief.
Just a dream. A terrible, terrible dream. Now, dear Lord, let me rest.
Soon, a bright light began to pour in under the door to his room. He turned uncomfortably cold when he began to wonder which of his curtains this new spirit would draw back. He put them, every one aside, with his own hands, and lying down again, established a sharp lookout all around the bed, for he wished to challenge the spirit on the moment of its appearance, and did not wish to be taken by surprise and made nervous. Unfortunately, this had little effect for the next sound that came.
Scrooge! Ebenezer Scrooge! Will you come meet me, or shall I come in there?
I'm coming. Just a moment now.
As Scrooge raised from the bed and over to the locked door, he unfastened it to be met with a new spirit, seated on a throne lit with 1,000 lights, with mistletoe and heaped with a feast fit for a king. He was a jolly giant of a man, with a full beard, wearing a green robe trimmed in white fur, and crowned with a holly wreath. In his hand he held a golden torch. Rather intimidated by such a sight, Scrooge moved forward gingerly.
Come in, and know me better, man. I am the spirit of Christmas present. You have never seen the likes of me before, eh?
No, never.
You've never walked forth with any of my elder brothers, born in these later years.
No, I don't think I have.
More than 1,800 have gone before me.
Tremendous family to provide for.
You understand my purpose here.
Yes, spirit. An hour before, I went forth on compulsion. I learned a lesson that is working in me still. If you have anything to teach, let me profit by it.
Take hold of my robe, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Scrooge did as he was told, and they, as with Christmas past, were brought aloft to the world, to a coal miner's den, a beggar's hovel, a ship aloft the stormy Atlantic, where they found in each scene the day's blessings and merriment could be found. The flame that came from the torch seemed to enrich places they came to, making the food more rich, the songs and dance more spirited, the colors brighter, which caused Scrooge to inquire.
Is there a particular power that comes from your torch?
There is indeed.
Would it apply to any kind of dinner those would enjoy this day?
To all, certainly, but to a poor one most.
Why to a poor one most?
Why, because they need it most, of course.
Soon they came to a land at a small house in Camden Town.
Do you know this place, Scrooge?
I wouldn't say that I do.
Do you not know the home of your own clerk, Bob Cratchit?
Bob Cratchit?
Aye. Let's enter. Worry not. As with Christmas past, we will be unseen and unheard.
Begrudgingly, Scrooge relents and follows the spirit into the house. Inside it is a small and humble home, 4 cramped rooms with little more than sticks of furniture and 1 family table. At a modest stove, Miss Cratchit and her youngest daughter were busying with finishing the Christmas dinner.
Where's your precious father and your brother Tiny Tim? And Martha was also here by this time last Christmas. Hello, Mother. Oh, Martha, you're later than I thought. We had a great deal of work to finish at the miller's last night, and a great deal to clear away this morning. Well, no matter. You're home now. Sit down and warm yourself, dear.
Father will be home any minute. Martha, hide!
Martha took to a closet nearby before Bob Cratchit entered with Tiny Tim, the youngest of the family, whom was crippled atop his shoulders. He set the boy down at the fireplace and went to greet his wife happily.
Merry Christmas, my love. And to you, my dears. But where is Martha?
Oh, she won't be coming for Christmas this year, I'm afraid.
What? Not coming for Christmas?
Oh, here I am, Father.
Come, Tim. Come hear the pudding singing in the copper.
Yes, come play with us, Tim.
Tim's siblings carried him off to the fireplace to hear the pudding singing.
And how did Tim behave himself in church?
as good as gold, and better. Somehow he gets thoughtful, sitting by himself so much, and thinks the strangest things you have ever heard. He told me, coming home, that he hoped the people saw him in the church, because he was a cripple, and it might be pleasant for them to remember on Christmas Day who made lame beggars walk and blind men see. It seems to me that he is getting stronger every day, and his limbs are growing. I just know it.
Yes, Bob. I'm sure you're right. He is getting stronger. Martha, Belinda, help me with the goose.
Yes, Mother.
Peter, I've got good news for you.
What is it, Father?
I met by chance Fred Hollowell, Mr. Scrooge's nephew. Mr. Hollowell knew I had a son that he has been able to secure an apprenticeship for. You'll begin at 3 shillings and 6 every week, starting Monday next.
3 shillings and 6 every week?
So if you're agreeable, you may start work on Monday next.
So you'll be keeping company with a young lady, Peter, and setting up for yourself.
That will happen soon enough.
The Cratchits take their time to their seats at the dinner table as the prepared dishes are set at the table, and finally, the goose.
What a goose! I'm so hungry.
I love Christmas.
This is a day to remember.
Ahem. Haven't we forgotten something? Lord, we thank you for the bounty set before us. We thank you for this day of love and joy. We thank you for allowing us to be together, to share with each other and you the fullness of our hearts. On this special day, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
What did you say?
I said, I meant such a small goose for so many.
Yes, I would take it up with the employer. You see, it's all Bob Cratchit can afford. And a Merry Christmas to us all.
And God bless us, everyone.
Tell me, Spirit, what will happen to Tiny Tim? Will he live?
My mind is on the here and now, Scrooge, and rarely gives worry to what will be.
Please, Spirit, what will become of him?
I see a vacant seat in the poor chimney corner, and a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved. If these shadows remain unchanged by the future, the child will die.
No, say he will be spared.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, none other of my race will find him here. But if he is to die, let him die and decrease the surplus population.
You use my own words against me.
Man, if man you be in heart, forbear that wicked chant from your breath until you have discovered what this surplus population is and where it is. Will it be yours to say whom shall live and whom shall die? It very well may be that in the sight of heaven you are more worthless and less fit to live than millions like these poor man's child. And now, dear ones, a toast to Mr. Scrooge, the founder of our feast. Mr. Scrooge!
The founder of our feast, indeed. Now wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast upon, and I'm hoping he'd have a good appetite for it.
My dear, the children, it's Christmas Day.
It should be Christmas Day, when one would drink the health of such an odious, stingy, hard, unfeeling man as Ebenezer Scrooge.
My dear, have some charity.
Oh, all right then. I'll drink his health, for your sake and for the day's sake, but not for his. Long live Ebenezer Scrooge. A very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I've no doubt his Christmas will be very merry and he'll be very happy.
Mr. Scrooge.
Mr. Scrooge.
Mr. Scrooge.
Mr. Scrooge.
The spirit and Scrooge left the home and wandered onwards. As they walked, the scene about then began to change.
Where are we now?
Just a street. Any street. This house. We'll go in here. I think it will amuse you.
I am in no mood to be amused.
Come along, Scrooge.
As they entered the home, they found a dining hall filled with guests, laughing and carrying on in a party. The host soon made himself known.
I was thinking of his face yesterday. Humbug, he said. Humbug. He said Christmas was a humbug. He believed it too.
More shame for him, Fred.
I'm told he's very rich.
Ah, this is very true. But his wealth is of no use to him. He doesn't do any good with it. He doesn't make himself comfortable with it.
Well, I have no patience for him.
Oh, but I have, and I feel sorry for him. His offenses carry their own punishment, and I have nothing to say against him. Who suffers by his ill whims but himself? He takes it into his heart to dislike us, and he won't come and dine with us.
And he loses a very good dinner indeed.
I was going to say that the consequence of taking a disliking to us is that he loses some pleasant moments, which could do him no harm. I mean, to give him the same chance every year, whether he likes it or not.
And every year he'll say, Christmas, bah!
Humbug! He has given us plenty of merriment, I'm sure, and it would be ungrateful not to drink to his health. Here's to Uncle Scrooge.
Uncle Scrooge.
I would normally take offense such tasteless banter and laughter at my expense. In view of general gaiety of occasion, I am inclined to overlook it.
That is quite noble of you. Now come, my time grows short.
Scrooge looked up to the giant and saw that his once auburn hair and full beard had turned quite white and thin, and his features gave the look of old age leading to the grave.
Spirit, is your lifetime on this planet so short?
Aye, Scrooge. We spirits hope each year that we be able to live the whole year long. But man seems to think that it should only be this day that the world be so kind.
Even those whom know you and your brothers?
There are those upon this earth of yours whom claim to know us, and do deeds of ill will and selfishness in our name. And they are as foreign and unfamiliar as if they never existed. Take heed to know them and charge their doings on themselves, not us.
Spirit, forgive me, but I see something strange protruding from your cloak. Is it a foot or a claw?
It might be a claw, for all the flesh there is on it. Look here.
The spirit drew aside the folds of his robe to disclose two thin, dirty, wretched, scowling children, crouched and clutching at his feet.
Spirit, are these children yours?
They are mankind's. This boy is ignorance, and this girl is want. Beware them both, but none so much as the boy, for upon his brow is written the word doom. They spell the downfall of all who deny their existence. and they cling to me this time of year.
Uh, have, have they no refuge, no resource?
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
Cover them. I do not wish to look at them.
I thought as much.
The spirit closed his robe.
They are hidden, but they live. Remember that. It's time for me to leave now.
Leave me. Here, no. You must take me to my home, to my bed.
Well, Ebenezer Scrooge, and Merry Christmas!
Spirit!
And with this, its last words, the spirit faded away into a cloud of dust. Scrooge looked about and saw nothing but the darkness of night. Out in the distance, he soon spotted a lamp post, and he went on his way towards it. When he stood up beneath it, he looked to his shadow cast below him. The shadow seemed to lift from the ground and looked over him. This spirit stood as tall as the last, if not taller. A tall, thin form, shrouded in black cloth. It looked over Scrooge, whom cowered in fear.
I take it I am in the presence of the spirit of Christmas yet to come?
It did not answer, and stood unmoving as a stone.
You are about to show me the shadows of things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us. Is that not so, Spirit?
Still, the form would not answer.
Spirit, I fear you more than any spectre I've seen. However, I knew your purposes for my welfare. So, whatever it is you must show me, I will accompany.
The spirit lifted its arm and pointed beyond Scrooge, where a trio of brokers appeared, men with whom Scrooge was acquainted.
Yes, he died last night, I'm told. How so remains to be seen.
What did he have done with his money?
I assume left to his company, perhaps. All I know is I'm not getting any of it.
Well, it's likely to be a cheap funeral. Don't know anybody who would go to it.
Suppose we make up a party and volunteer?
I don't mind going as long as lunch is provided. But I must be fed for the time I waste.
Well, it matters little to me either way. I'll go if anyone else will. Now I must be off. The wife will have my hat if I'm late for Christmas dinner. Good day.
Good day.
Good day, gentlemen.
Have these men no sense of decency for the dead? Whom is this man that they speak of so apathetically?
The figure lifted its bony finger once more as a new scene materialized from the darkness, a room that Scrooge recognized.
This is my room. And it seems to be my bed, but
Scrooge's breath halted as he looked upon the mattress where the shape of a thin man was covered by a thin sheet, its face hidden in the shadows.
no, it mustn't be my room. No, it seems it, but that there are no bed curtains, no blankets. What is this to me, Spirit? Take me to someone who is affected by this man's demise.
The figure brought its hand to Scrooge's back, leading him about to another place, a shabby, run-down shop, where a disheveled old man sat at his desk, counting his shillings. From the door soon entered a dirt-covered man and two wretched old crones, who approached the older man.
Well. Mrs. Dilber, if it ain't me favourite charwoman. Oh, and what's this? The local laundress, Miss Oliver. Oh, the vultures gathered today, I see.
Take a look at me bundle, Joe.
Oh, I was here first.
Oh, come in, sit. We're all suitable to our calling, matched to be sure.
Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did.
That's true indeed. No man more so.
What have you, Miss Oliver? Let's see. Seal, pencil case, pair of sleeve buttons. I'll give you £1 and 8, and not another 6p if I was to be boiled for doing it.
You're hardened, Joe. But done and done then.
See here, the goods you'll really want to lay your hands on.
What do you call this? Bed curtains. You don't mean to say you took her down, rings in all with Himalayan there?
Why not? It wasn't apt to catch his cold without him, I dare say.
I hope he didn't die of anything catchy.
Don't you be afraid of that. I wasn't so fond of his company that I'd loiter about if he did. And you may look through that shirt till your eyes ache, but you won't find a hole in it, nor a threadbare place. It's the best he had, and a fine one too. They'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me.
What do you call wasting it?
Why, putting him in to be buried in, to be sure.
Quite a stash, Miss Dilber. You were born to make a profit of yourself. Of course, I always give too much to ladies. It's a weakness of mine. So I come to ruin myself. £3 even, Miss Dilber. If you ask me for another 6p, I'll be repentant of being so liberal, and I'll knock off half a crown.
And this is how it ends. He scared everyone away from him when he was alive. To profit us when he was dead.
Spirit, this is a fearful place. Surely there can be no reason to bring me to such a God-forsaken part of the city. Yes, the items they're stolen are similar to mine, but I see the point. But surely there's someone who feels some emotion caused by this man's death, some depth of feeling. Show me that person, I beg you.
The spirit, in its same manner, raised its hand and showed the way to another place, a poor home in Camden Town.
This is Bob Cratchit's home. Oh, surely you're mistaken. Your fellow spirit brought me here not only an hour ago.
The long, shadowy hand thrusts towards the door in an adamant command.
Very well, very well.
Scrooge entered the Cratchits' house as he did before, but where once warmth of light and laughter filled the cramped walls, there was a shade of remorse that hung thick in the air, and a breathtaking silence. The family sat about the house, the youngest around Miss Cratchit, whom was sewing a blanket.
I must stop. This colour hurts my eyes. There, better now. This colour makes my eyes red, and I wouldn't show red eyes for your father when he comes home. Not for the world. It must be near his time.
Pass it, rather. I think he's walked a little slower than he used to these last few evenings.
Yes. I've known him to walk with Tiny Tim upon his shoulder. Very fast indeed.
So have I.
And so have I.
Well, he was very light to carry, and his father loved him so that it was no trouble at all. That must be your father now.
She stood to greet Bob as he entered. They all greet him, and he takes a seat next to the fireplace.
Hello, my dear missus. Hello, my dear ones.
Hello,
Hello,
Father.
Father.
You're late. We were worried about you.
The reason I'm late is because I walked by there today. I couldn't keep away. It was so quiet and green. You shall see it on Sunday. We shall all go on Sunday. I promised that I would walk there every Sunday to visit him. My child. Dear, dear child.
Father, please don't grieve so.
I'm sorry. I have all of you, a blessing to be thankful for. But however and whenever we're parted from one another, I'm sure none of us will ever forget poor Tiny Tim, shall we?
No,
Never, Father.
never, Father.
And I know as well, my dears, that when we remember how patient and mild he was, although he was a little child, we shall not so easily quarrel among ourselves.
No, we won't, Mother.
No, we won't, Mother. Never.
Never.
I asked for tenderness and depth of feeling. You have shown me that. Nothing more I need to see. Take me home, Spirit.
The house fades away into smoke and shadow and takes a new form, the shape of gravestones, as Scrooge is now standing in the midst of the town graveyard.
Oh, what's this? I thought we had agreed you would transport me home.
The spirit stood among the graves and pointed down to one covered in overgrowth from neglect. Scrooge advanced towards it, trembling. The phantom was exactly as it had been, but he dreaded that he saw a new meaning in its solemn form.
Spirit, something tells me that the moment of our parting is at hand. I know it, but I don't know how. But tell me, the man who was spoken of, the one who died, tell me who he was.
Still, the ghost pointed downward to the grave by which it stood. Scrooge looked at it, and then back to the spirit in desperation.
The course of a man's life will determine certain ends. I accept it. But if he departs from those courses, the ends must change. Say it is so with what you've shown me.
The spectre continued, pointing at the stone. Scrooge, trembling, moves the weeds away, the unkept gravestone, and upon seeing the name inscribed there, he fell to his knees.
No, it can't be. Am I the man? The man who died? From whom no mourners? Say it isn't so, Spirit. Say it isn't so.
Again, it pointed to Scrooge and back to the stone.
Spirit, hear me. I am not the man I was. I will not be the man I must have been, but for your intervention. Why show me this if I am past all hope?
The spirit was immovable as ever. Scrooge crept towards it, trembling as he went, and following the finger, read upon the stone of the neglected grave his own name.
I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will remember the lessons of the past. I will live in the present. I will live toward the future. The spirits of all three will thrive within me. I will not shut out the lessons they teach. Oh, tell me that I may sponge away the writing up the stone.
Scrooge closed his eyes, burying his face in the robes of the spirit before him, weeping to have his fate reversed. But soon he saw an alteration in the phantom's dress. It shrunk, collapsed, and dwindled down into a bedpost.
Where am I? I'm alive. I'm alive. The bed curtains, they're still here. I am here. Oh, I'm as light as a feather. I'm as happy as an angel. Oh, I'm as merry as a schoolboy.
He was checked in his transports by the church's ringing out the lustiest peals he had ever heard. Clash, clang, hammer, ding, dong, bell, bell, dong, ding, hammer, clang, clash. Running to the window, he opened it and put out his head. No fog, no mist. Clear, bright, jovial, stirring cold, golden sunlight, heavenly skies, sweet fresh air, merry bells, and down on the street below, a young boy caught his attention.
Hello, you boy. What day is it?
What day is it?
Yes, what day is it today?
Why, it's Christmas Day, of course.
Christmas Day. You're quite sure, my good fellow?
I should say I am.
And the spirits have done it all in one night. Well, of course they can. They can do anything they like. Of course they can. Hello, my fine fellow.
Hello.
Do you know the poulterers in the street but one at the corner?
I should hope I did.
Oh, what a wonderful boy, a remarkable boy. Do you know whether they've sold the prize turkey hanging up there?
What, the one as big as me?
What a delightful boy. A pleasure talking with him. Yes, the one as big as you.
It's hanging there now.
Well, then you must go and buy it. Yes, go and buy it and have them bring it round so I can give them directions where to deliver it. Come back with a man and I'll give you a shilling. Come back with him in less than 5 minutes, I'll give you half a crown.
Yes, sir.
The boy took off like a shot as Scrooge turned around in to get a pen and paper to write an address.
I'll send it to Bob Cratchit, sir. You won't know who sent it. He's twice the size of Tiny Tim.
After he filled out a card with the Cratchit's address, he threw on his best outfit and hurried his way, even riding the railing of the stairs, giggling like a child. He stood, winded from age, but felt as energetic as a young buck. He exited the house to find the boy and the poulterer outside his gate.
If this be a prank, I'll box your ears.
He was right there at that window.
Ah, here's the turkey. Oh, what a gigantic bird. Hello, how are you, my boy? Excellent job. And here is your have a crown for such a brilliant service.
Thank you, sir.
Pardon me, but this boy said you want to buy this here turkey.
Yes, my dear fellow, and it is impossible to carry that to Camden Town. You must have a cab.
Camden Town, sir?
Yes, this splendid turkey is to be delivered immediately to the home of Bob Cratchit and family in Camden Town. Here's the directions that I've written down, and then the address, and here's the money for the turkey there.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, and here's the money for the delivery, of course.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, and here's a tip for you, sir, there.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
As the two pulled away, Scrooge began to walk down the street, a bright, shining smile on his old face and a pep in his step. He greeted every passerby with a hearty Merry Christmas until he noticed the two men that came to visit him the day before and walked up to greet them.
How do you do?
Mr. Scrooge.
Yes, that is my name. I fear it isn't pleasant to you. Allow me to beg your forgiveness and accept my donation for the poor for,
Scrooge leaned over to whisper an amount in their ears.
Lord bless me. My dear Mr. Scrooge, are you quite serious?
please. And not a farthing less. A great many back payments are included in it, I assure you.
My dear sir, I don't know what to say to such generosity.
Don't say anything, please. Just come and see me sometime soon. You will come to see me, both of you?
We will.
We will.
I am much obliged to you. Thank you 50 times. Bless you both, and Merry Christmas.
Would you believe it if I told you that Scrooge went to church that day? He did, and walked about the streets, and watched the people hurrying to and fro, and patted children on the head as they passed, and questioned beggars, and looked down into the kitchens of houses, and up to windows, and found that everything could yield him pleasure. He had never dreamed that any walk, that anything at all, could give him so much happiness. And finally, in the afternoon, he turned his steps towards his nephew's house. He knocks at the door, and Fred and his wife, Ava, became startled.
Oh, and now who could that be?
I don't know. No one's expected at this hour.
The both, in their curiosity, walk up to the door and open it to find
Hello, Fred.
Uncle Ebenezer.
The very same. It is I, your Uncle Ebenezer. I recall an invitation you made to me yesterday to come and dine with you. If that invitation is still in force, I should like to accept, if you have me.
What? I don't know what to say.
Well, I hope you may say come in.
Come in? Why, of course, you shall come in. Hurrah, Uncle Ebenezer. You have made me very happy. May I introduce my wife, Ava? Ava, my Uncle Ebenezer.
My dear, it is plain to me now why my nephew married you. Will you forgive me for being such a stubborn old man to not see it?
Oh, dear Uncle Ebenezer, you've made Fred so happy.
I always knew. I knew one day you would.
Yes, you were right, nephew. You know, Fred, I now see the resemblance of your mother in your face. I loved her, Fred. And she loved me. I'm afraid I'd almost forgotten just how much.
Well, it's all behind us, Uncle. And we have nothing but to cherish the time we have.
With this, Scrooge embraced both Fred and his wife, his eyes glistening with tears.
Oh, God forgive me for the time I've wasted.
Scrooge stayed with his family the entire evening. He greeted the party guests and laughed and sang, ate and drank, enjoying the company. When the evening came to a close, he was the last to leave. He bid farewell to Fred and Ava and invited them to come to his house the following week to visit, to which they gladly accepted. The morrow next, Scrooge woke and got ready in his normal fashion. He left his home and patted his old knocker affectionately.
Bless you, Jacob Marley, wherever you are.
He left with the same humor as the day before and approached his counting house. he found it still locked up. He opened the door and took his desk. He sat for a short while, then gave his pocket watch a peek.
1/4 past, eh, Bob Cratchit? We'll see about that.
Outside the counting house, Bob hurried to the door, taking out his keys to undo it, but to his shock, found the door undone. He opened it and peeked his head through. However, he didn't seem to find Mr. Scrooge about. So with as much stealth that could be afforded to him, he entered and slowly shut the door. He walked cautiously to his desk and took his seat before Scrooge appeared from the opposing wall.
Mr. Cratchit, do you know what time?
Yes, sir.
What time is it?
18 minutes past the hour, sir.
18.5 minutes past the hour. What do you mean by coming here this time of day?
I'm very sorry, sir. I am behind my time.
Yes, I think you are, sir. Step over here, if you please, sir.
Bob slowly walked to Scrooge's desk, ever fearful.
It's only once a year, sir. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday.
I'll tell you what, sir. I'm not going to stand for this any longer, sir. And therefore, I am about to raise your salary.
All at once, Bob Cratchit's mouth hung open in surprise. He wasn't sure he had heard the words that were just spoken.
Yes. Yes, you heard right. Oh, I haven't taken leave of my senses, Bob. I've come to them. And from now on, if you'll do me the pleasure, I will endeavor to assist your struggling family in any way I can.
Sir, I...
Bob's shock slowly began to turn to tears of joy at the confirmation of this news.
We can discuss the particulars later over a warm Christmas punch, no? But first, make up that fire before we freeze to death. I'll send you out to buy another coal scuttle before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit.
Yes, sir.
Scrooge handed a bag of shillings to Bob, who heads off to buy the coal while he found that he couldn't contain a tickle of joy in his belly.
I don't deserve to be so happy. I just can't help it.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough. In the good old world, some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh, and little heeded them. His own heart laughed, and that was quite enough for him. And it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of us, and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless
God
us.
bless
bless
us,
us,
everyone.
everyone.